What is going on, everyone? I am here with Hannah Corbacio, and we are doing Coffee with a Trainer, episode number 15 here today. We're not doing it live. We're recording it for you over lunchtime while we have a break in our schedules, and we will be bringing it to you later this evening. It will be available all over Facebook, Instagram, all those good sources. So Hannah is the owner of Beyond a Clinic. She's been training for 6 years. And she specializes in helping busy women get fit while enjoying food freedom and learning healthy habits in a one-stop shop for everything they need to succeed. So Hannah, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a health and fitness coach, and I do all my business online now. So I help women that are looking to get in shape, shed fat, get toned. And we do that through my coaching program, which is a several-month program where you get workouts, you get nutrition, you get mindset coaching, you get an all-in-one program with our whole goal of helping you get long-term results that last significantly long after we're done working together. So I always say it's designed so that you will never need a coach again after we work together.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's all online now, so it's really nice.
Perfect. And it's not a get fit quick. It's one of those long-term solution type of things.
Yeah, I won't work with people for less than 3 months as my minimum right now, because there's just kind of no point to just try a couple of weeks, because it takes time to get real results and also learn how to get results. Because if I'm just telling you what to do for a couple of weeks, and yeah, maybe we'll get results, but then when we stop, you're not going to know what to do for yourself or know how to do on your own. So it just takes time to learn all that and learn what works best for your body, and then just get results that are going to be sustainable. And like I said, just last for long after, not just like kind of stop as soon as we're done.
Nice. Well, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Little backstory about Hannah and myself. We met a little over a year ago, I would say at this point. I do this thing where I reach out to local fitness professionals, wellness professionals, things along those lines. I have a goal of 1 or 2 new people that I meet every month. Hannah and I hit it off right away. We have a lot of mutual interests, mutual friends. And it was one of those things that allowed us to start a good conversation. And this conversation's been long overdue. We've been trying to put this together for you guys for a while, but we've been 2 ships passing in a night. We're both very busy with what we're doing, running our businesses. So I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this. So we're just going to dive right in. I'm going to rapid fire some questions to Hannah, and then we will have some discussions about some things and hopefully provide you guys a lot of value. If you ever have any questions, just post in the comments below wherever you are, and we would be glad to reach out and have a conversation with you about any questions that you may have. Number 1, let's talk about food freedom and what that means to you and your brand, because I think people have this notion that I can never have a cookie again, or like forget about alcohol, or I got to do so much cardio if I eat the wrong thing. You have this big thing with food freedom, so let's explain a little bit more of that.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because I never planned for that to even like be a popular topic I talk about. And then when I realized like how big of an issue it was, it's like I talk about it every single day, and it has really become my brand. But so I'm very against like the dieting mindset, and more just learning intuitive eating, which gives you food freedom. So dieting is where you are kind of restricting yourself. It has an end goal, right? So it's a short-term thing. So maybe I'm going to diet for 4 weeks. I'm trying to lose 5 pounds or whatever. So you are kind of restricting yourself, whether that be, so I'm not going to have carbs for 4 weeks. I'm not going to let myself have sugar, alcohol. So you're restricting things. Whereas food freedom, first of all, it's a long-term thing. It's not a 4-week diet. You're just making long-term lifestyle changes. That's what takes it from short-term results to long-term results, is the lifestyle changes, and learning how to do that. And that really allows you to ditch the dieting, ditch the diet mindset, and just allow yourself to still eat food that you want while getting your results. There's no reason to cut things out of your food. So I always say like pizza and wine, because I mainly work with women. So if you cut out pizza and wine for a month, like sure, maybe you'll see some changes, but what are you going to do after that fact? And so instead, with food freedom, you learn how to still eat those things while, if your goal is weight loss, while still losing weight. That helps manage cravings for sure. It learns you how to eat teaches you how to eat things in healthy moderations. And like I said, just make actual lifestyle changes that keep going instead of just trying to cut food out. Makes you miserable, makes you hate the program that you're on. And it really just gets those long-term results.
Yeah, I think you're on a hot topic there, because there's so much restriction in the diets that are available, and people are following, like keto, Atkins,
Yeah.
you name it, low carb, high fat, low fat. There's a million different ways of doing things. But the big thing with my clients is I always tell them, I'm like, I've had experiences where they've worked with other trainers and they've worked with nutritionists. They're like, you need to completely eliminate this or completely eliminate that. And my
Yeah.
thing is always like, listen, if you eliminate something for long enough, chances are you're going to binge on it. So I have an example right now where I have a guy who's in the military, and he came to me, he was drinking a 2 liter of Pepsi every day. So like the equivalent of 8 or 9 cans of Pepsi every single day. So what did I do? Instead of saying, hey, you can't have the Pepsi, I said, let's eliminate 1 can per day, per week, over the next 8 weeks. So over the course of 8 weeks, he dropped himself down to having 1 or 2 cans per day. And I'm okay with that. He works extremely hard. He wants to have his 1 or 2, sodas a day, because he doesn't drink coffee, doesn't drink things like that. So I think that's, really good progress, and it's realistic. And
Yeah.
some days he doesn't even have it anymore. So he's starting to learn to live without it. And I think that kind of ties into food freedom, just from a soda perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always say too, like, unless you're planning on cutting something out forever, then don't cut it. But if there is things like soda, for example, or sometimes I get people that their coffee is like 600 calories because it's loaded with cream and sugar, things like that. Like, yes, we should look into getting that down to a little bit of a more healthy range, like the Mountain Dew for sure. But you don't want to just cut it out cold turkey. It's when you cut things out of your diet to try to get results, there's only like 2 outcomes. So either you get the results, but when you let yourself have it again, you're going to binge like crazy because now you're allowed to have soda again. So you're going to go all in. And because you were restricting it for so long, your cravings are going to be off the chart. Or when you're allowed to have it again, now your relationship with food changes a bit, and it can lead to some really negative mindsets where you're going to feel guilty if you had things like soda, and that's just not necessary at all.
Yeah, guilt creates cortisol, and cortisol creates all kinds of chaos in the body.
Yeah.
So something I've had a lot in my 15-year career is people just asking me questions online. They're like, I'm eating, 600 to 800 calories a day. I'm not losing weight, or I lost weight initially and I've kind of stalled out. And it's a really bad situation. It's really hard to break the ice in terms of, everyone says you need to lose weight by cutting calories or exercising more. That is one of the most common things you hear is cut your calories, increase your activity. So if someone came to you out of shape, say they're 100 pounds overweight, you found them eating 600, 800 calories per day. So where would you go about trying to help them get started and make them believe that, hey, you actually need more calories to start losing weight than where you're at now with a healthy habit standpoint?
Yeah. So for when we would first talk to that person, chances are either they are miserable, they have low energy, they have brain fog, they have fatigue, they have cravings off the chart, or they've totally plateaued, right? Because when you're in such a low calorie deficit, that can't keep going on. Your body is going to be like, I need nutrients. We can't keep letting you lose weight. So usually they're in one of those 2 categories. And so what I always kind of dive into is like teaching them what even like your BMR is, so your basal metabolic rate. So that's how many calories your body naturally just burns at rest, doing literally nothing. So just lying on a couch all day, your body would burn X amount of calories. And when you see that number, that's usually the game changer, because that number is usually like, for me, I think I'm like 1,400 calories a day. So if I'm only eating 600-800, I'm so low compared to how many calories my body just needs naturally. And that's not even adding in your active calories from throughout the day. So when you kind of really break it down from like the math standpoint, you can see how huge of a deficit you're in. And it's just so unhealthy, and it actually slows the progress because your body has to be like, whoa, we got to slow down a bit because you're not feeding me. I have no energy. and it causes so many issues. And we have to get you back up to a healthy number. That's the only way you're going to get results. Or what will happen is, so maybe you do get results on that really low number. Like I said, you're still probably not going to have any energy. And then when you start eating normal again and you start to like jump up to like more of a healthier normal range, your metabolism is going to go off the charts, because you went from 600 to like 2000 overnight, and your body's like, what the heck is this? And that causes all kinds of issues. So we really want to get to a healthy calorie deficit. And that's another reason I work with women for a minimum of 3 months. Our calorie deficit is small. Like, we're only losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, because that's how you get sustainable results. Yeah, you can do crazy things and try to do more than that in a week, but it's going to make you have to go into a bigger calorie deficit, which is not healthy. It's not sustainable, and just makes you miserable.
Yeah, and I think there's the concept of macro versus micro changes. People talk about that from, an economic standpoint, all kinds of stuff, macro versus micro. But, macro is, I want to lose 60 pounds in a year. Okay, that's doable. But micro is, I want to lose a manageable 0.5 to 2 pounds per week. Initially, the first month, you might lose nothing because we're getting things recalibrated. And I think it's okay to move the needle like 100 or 200 calories at a time. So if somebody comes to me eating 600 calories, I'm not going to say you need to start eating 1,600 calories tomorrow. We might go to 800 for a week or a month, and then we might go to 1,000. Anything more than 100 to 200, now you're playing with your body getting disrupted from its natural rhythms. And then you start getting bloating. You might get extra fatigue. You might have stomach issues. You might have nausea because you're just used to not eating. You're not used to eating that much food. So there's a lot of ways that you go there. For me, I kind of oversimplify it sometimes because I try and keep it pretty simple. But like, I'll take somebody, if they're trying to lose weight or gain weight, the process is the same. If you're trying to lose weight, say you're 200 pounds and you want to weigh 160. I take 160 times 15. That is their starting point. Then I will go as low as 160 times 10. That's as low as I'll go. So the lowest they will go is like 1,600 calories in that instance. The opposite, if they come in, they're 160 pounds, they want to build muscle to be 200 pounds. I take that 200 pounds times 15. That's their starting point. I'll take that as high as 200 pounds times 20. 4,000 calories is as high as they will go to build muscle. And then I play around in those toggles. That's what works for me. And it makes sense on paper because people are always kind of like, where'd you get these numbers from? Basal metabolic rate's a good place to start. Plus 500, minus 500. But, I just try and keep it simple because then they can look at that and be like, all right, well, I'm starting at 15 calories per pound body weight times my current goal weight. And then I can always go lower. But if they're at 10 and they're done losing weight, then we start talking about refeeds. We start talking about cheat days, cheat weeks, things like that where they stall out. But that's, a whole other conversation that we can kind of dive into.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I think what's important to kind of like debunk too with that is I think people have this mindset where like if they just cut a ton of calories, they're going to get faster results. And it just physically doesn't work that way. So if you do some kind of diet that at the end of the week you're down 10 pounds on the scale, that's a lot of water weight. You can't physically lose that many pounds in a week. So I think we think, okay, I'm just going to go all in and do like 600 calories. I'll just do a really big calorie deficit. I'll get faster results. And it doesn't work that way. And I think also too, people don't realize that to lose weight, you don't have to be in a huge calorie deficit that makes you hungry all the time. It's just not necessary. You can just cut back you can even do 300, which is like nothing. It's going to be a slower, steady progress, but you almost don't even notice you're in a deficit and you're not hungry. You don't have cravings. It's just in a much more healthy number. It's nothing crazy, no crazy jumps.
Absolutely. And that's why you tie the lifestyle into it as well, where weight training and things like that to make sure you're stimulating your metabolism, building some lean muscle tissue while you're doing it. Because ultimate food freedom, I'm just stealing your word. Ultimate food freedom is like you put on 20 pounds of muscle over the course of 5 years. Guess what? You can eat a little bit more selectively and have a little bit more of what you want and stay the same versus cutting your calories to 800, burning muscle tissue. Now your food freedom might be a little more constrained because you've treated your body so poorly for so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true.
So yeah, I think since we're on that, pathway, we'll just do a little bit of debunking here. Just a lot of things that I hear quite frequently is, what would you say to a woman who doesn't want to consume an appropriate amount of protein or lift weights, we'll say, because they're worried about building muscles that are manly? And I've talked about this before, but I want to hear your take on that, because I'm sure you hear that all the time. And you're a girl that lifts weights all the time, and you don't look like a man to me. So let's debunk that for them.
I honestly, I kind of use myself as an example all the time, because I'm like, do you think I look like a man? And maybe that's a risky question, but I lift heavy. Like I do like 5 exercises in a workout and I go heavy, and I still don't look like a man. But I think it's important also to realize, like, to get huge muscles is actually really hard. Like, I've been trying for years. It's really hard. You can't like accidentally get too big of arms. Like, it doesn't work that way. It requires a lot of work and a lot of time to build that up. But what's important to know that, like, you're not going to jump right there. So let's just get that mindset. It's not going to accidentally happen. But if you're not doing any strength training, like, not only is it just not good for joints and muscles and just overall bone health and all that good stuff, but also like cardio and stuff. Sure, it might help with weight loss, but it's not going to help with muscle definition, with toning, with just like the lean muscle women want. You still need strength training to get that slimmer look that you're going for. You still get that from lifting heavy weights. It doesn't come from running on a treadmill. Oh wait, I forgot the protein question. And the protein question, I'm actually not like a huge protein. Like, I think my numbers are usually probably a little lower than some nutritionists and stuff out there. But still, like, if you are not eating enough, you're gonna know it. Like, you're gonna feel really fatigued, really tired after workouts if your numbers, if your macros are off. And if you just want, again, like healthy bone density, even just for like health, not even just your health and fitness goals, it's just so important you're getting enough of a healthy moderation of all your macros, including protein, which is really important to get your goals. And if you're not doing it, you're just going to kind of learn the hard way, because you're not going to see the results you want.
Absolutely. I think people also get scared when they're in the gym sometimes too, because they get a little bit of that pump for the first time and they start thinking, oh man, my muscles are like this. Like, what if they're like this all the time? And I kind of equate things to finances a lot of times. Like, even a man that has a higher level of testosterone that's in his early 20s, let's say, look at it as compound interest. Every time you're breaking your muscles down, you need to rebuild them back up through proper nutrition, proper mobility training, flexibility training, because otherwise you get tight. So you want to stay nice and loose. The compound interest theory is, over time, the muscles do get a little bit bigger, but now we start talking about different muscles. So you got your type 1, your type 2 muscle fibers. So you have your fatigue muscle fibers and your fatigue resistance muscle fibers. Your fatigue resistant muscle fibers are kind of more of your runner, your person that's running long distances, lean, mean, but they got a lot of muscle in their body. And then you have the type 2 where you're more like, me. You got bigger arms, bigger everything, but you got to think, what's muscle maturity and what's muscle functionality? Muscle maturity is something that's going to take decades to develop. So yeah, you might get strong in your first 6 months in the gym, but the dense muscle is not going to come in the first 6 months. It's going to take a very long time. One thing that holds true: find the biggest person in the gym, or find the most well-developed woman that's lean, maybe a little bit more muscular than you, but they've probably been doing it 10, 15, 20 years. So you never have to worry about gaining all kinds of bulk in the first year. It's not going to happen.
Genuinely really hard, I promise.
So we talked a little bit about restrictive eating, but how do we break the mold of New Year's Day? Everyone says, hey, I want to lose weight. They sign up for their gym membership. They kind of think, oh, I'm going to do it myself. They go to the gym. What's the first thing they do? They hop on that treadmill. They walk on that treadmill for about an hour. They don't even think about doing weights. How do we break the mold of people thinking that cardio is the only way to trim fat?
Yeah, so I think too, like, if you just ask, like, okay, well, how long have you been trying it for? And and okay, so they say 3 months, I don't know, and it's okay, well, how's it working? Like, what are the results you're getting? And then you're gonna realize, like, oh, well, I'm really not. And it's like, well, that's because you're really missing a really key important element that you're not, like, you can't get more tone defined arms from running. like you're not even really working the arms there. So I think too, like a lot of times it's kind of like, even if you don't want to believe me, then try it, but you're really just not going to see those same results, and you kind of just waste time trying the methods and the approaches that just aren't as effective. And if you are someone that's afraid of it, then just slowly mix it in. You can still do maybe 80% of your workouts cardio and the 20% strength, and then slowly start to incorporate it in more when you get more comfortable with it. But you just kind of have to try it. Just give it a shot and see how you feel after. See how you feel after a couple of weeks, and you're going to see very noticeable changes, like physically and on a scale and whatever.
Yeah, because what do you think about in terms of like mesocycles or microcycles? So if you're doing like 26-week program with somebody, how long would you have them stick to a specific plan before you would make a major change to that plan? Do you keep them, or do you change it every week, or do you change it like every 6 weeks? What would you say is the best approach for that?
Yeah, I'm changing the intensity every probably 3 or 4 weeks. 4 weeks, I think as every like month. I'm just kind of changing the intensity up a little bit, so that we're getting that progressive overload effect where you're just not going to plateau and you're going to keep seeing results. I will say, since most of my clients are more just kind of lifestyle clients, they are just kind of looking for overall health, maybe weight loss, maybe just that tone effect. So I don't get too deep into the meso and macrocycles unless I have someone who's more like bodybuilding style, strength training. Then we get a little bit more specific with it. But for my lifestyle clients, I just do kind of like every 4 weeks, so just kind of bumping the intensity a little bit to make sure we are still improving over the time. Because if you are just doing 10 pounds for bicep curls for 4 weeks straight for 10 reps every time, like you're not going to keep seeing results. Your body's going to plateau. Your muscles aren't going to see changes. You have to keep challenging your body and adding that progressive overload that I keep saying to keep seeing results. Otherwise, you plateau.
Yeah, and the body's very, very in tune with what you're doing to it, and it adapts really quickly. Allie Gilbert and I talk a little bit about the whole idea of exercise more and eat more. So that's one toggle. So you're exercising more and eating more. That's one way you could be. So say you go on vacation, but you're walking 10 times more than you normally do, but you're eating more than you normally do. You can actually lose fat during that week while you're on vacation. The opposite can be true. You exercise less, you eat less. You can actually lose body fat during that as well. And then there's the inverse of that toggle. So it's exercise more, eat less, eat less, exercise more. Yeah. So there's a lot of ways where you can lose fat, and you got to really kind of be in tune with what your body's doing. Sometimes the best medicine is a week off of training, and nobody wants to hear that. But sometimes you need to let your body recover.
Yeah. And that's like an important point too that you kind of talked about, where a lot of times like the thing that's missing for them is those two things aren't lining up. So maybe, usually they were working out 5 times a week and eating X amount of calories, but now they're only working out like 2 or 3 times with their new schedule, and they're still eating X amount of calories. And so those two things aren't lined up. Or they're working out more because they want to get in better shape for the summer, but they're not adding more calories. And so now these two things aren't aligned. So that's so important that you're eating for how much active calories you're burning in a day, which is also coming from your workouts. And if those two things aren't bouncing off each other, it can either just not give you results or just slow progress, because they go hand in hand. Like if you're trying to put on muscle mass and you're not eating more, you're not going to put on muscle mass. Like they have to mesh together.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's dive down into a little bit of the whole idea of sleep, stress, and water consumption. We've talked awful lot about nutrition and training, but I feel like people just want to think that they can get away with sleeping 4 hours and being stressed out to the max, and if they go to the gym, they're going to be fine. I truly think maybe sleep might be the most important thing. So what are your thoughts, and how do you kind of coach your clients through some of those things?
Yeah, so that's like a huge part of my program, is we really dive deep into all of those things. So every week my clients have like a daily hydration goal. We're monitoring sleep. We're checking in with daily stress. And also for me, it's important that I don't want my program to be adding stress to someone's life. So And if so, then how can we do this in a little bit more manageable way for their daily schedule? So we're checking in with that all the time. Stress can like literally slow weight loss down. Like that's been scientifically proven in research articles that weight loss can be inhibited from high levels of stress in the body, which is also why some like super high intensity cardio, like some of the HIIT training where your heart rate is spiked up, that's putting your body into a stress mode. And that actually isn't very helpful for weight loss, for just overall health at all, because you're in that stress range on your heart. So monitoring that is so important. And two, like your stress level kind of bounces off your workouts and your eating, and it can lead to really bad relationships where you're working out because you have to, because you feel guilty for eating something like that, which is adding more stress, or you're stress eating, which is making you gain more weight, and then you have a bad relationship with snacking. And so they really just constantly are kind of going hand in hand. And so if we take a look at all of that together, we could kind of get like a more concrete plan of, okay, this is what we need to help lower the stress and get better results.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. And I always refer people back to the whole idea of there is 5 components of fitness, and people need to take a good look at those. And that's your flexibility, your body composition, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and your cardiorespiratory fitness. So those 5 things you should be looking at. So don't focus on just one thing. You know, if you go in like a caveman like me, I have the tendency to go to the gym and just lift weights 4 or 5 days a week. And then, you know, I walk my dog, I walk with my wife, I do this, that, the other thing. I stretch with my clients. But, you know, I hate cardio. But you got to always remember, the thing you hate is probably the thing you most likely need. So when people don't like weight training, I'm always like, hey, that doesn't mean you're going to not like it forever. You got to find that form of weight training that you enjoy. Maybe it's a group setting. Maybe it's a Zoom setting if you're uncomfortable going to the gym. Maybe it's, you know, at the gym. Maybe it's powerlifting. But you got to find out like what the thing is that you kind of enjoy doing. And don't be afraid to try new things. But also, you know, don't always fall into the flavor of the month. You know, fitness is always going to have these trends where for the last 2.5 years, in my experience, it's been all go to the gym, work out as fast and as hard as you can. Like, don't worry about form too much. Just get your reps done and sweat, burn calories, because it was all about the high intensity stuff. That's great. I think that's fine to do once or twice a week. But if you're not balancing that with stretching and proper form on slower weight training movements, you could run into issues. So just remember to keep balance and moderation in everything you're doing.
Yeah. And that kind of touches on another point where a lot of times people get frustrated and give up when they try something for like 2 to 4 weeks and don't see results. And it's like, well, it takes longer than that to see results. So that's why. So sometimes someone might try like a new flavor of the month or however you worded it. And then they don't see immediate changes. And then they kind of get frustrated and give up and try something else. And it's not really, I mean, it could have been the thing that wasn't working, but also might not be. It might just be you didn't give it enough time to actually get you results and actually see changes, because changes take time.
Well, I made a post this morning about that because actually I was surprised that my clients didn't know this about me. But last night I was talking to my group. I do a Zoom group on Wednesday nights, and there was like 9 people in there, and they were shocked when I told them that I take progress pictures every single week on Thursday mornings, and I do my weight and my waist and hip measurements on Thursday mornings. It's the only time of the week. And, you know, the last 3 weeks, I have not changed at all. You can't see anything on the pictures. You can't see anything on the waist measurements. Body fat's the same. But you know what? You have to take a step back and be like, am I drinking my water? Am I executing my workouts? Am I getting the cardio, the right amount of sleep? Am I just plateaued? Do I need to make some adjustments? But don't be in a hurry to make huge adjustments. Sometimes, as Hannah said, you could be just a week or 2 away from a major change, but you just need to kind of be patient.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And the reason behind something like that, there's, I mean, 100 different possible things. So it's important to kind of take a look at everything, take a step back, and just see how it's going. Because even like whether you're weight loss or your strength training, it's not this like really pretty perfect graph. You have these ups and downs. You're not going to lose weight every single week. You're not going to squat more every, like, it's just, that's just not going to happen. So just buckle up for these bumps in the roads that are going to happen, and be patient with them and work through them, because you'll come out on the other side. Don't give up at those times, because that's always going to happen. And it's like, people that push through those are the people that get the long-term results, and that ditch this like start stop cycle that you get stuck in.
Yeah. You ever look at the stock market?
It's good, yeah.
It's ups and downs all the way. I use financial things all the time because I'm just fascinated by it. But I mean, you could even say like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, right? Probably the most jacked guy that you could think of, probably. But he's had all kinds of muscle tears. He's had all kinds of setbacks, injuries, but he keeps coming back stronger. Just stay the course, keep moving forward. And let's talk about mindset, Hannah. Let's talk about the mindset, and what does mindset play into the role of all this?
Oh, everything. Mindset is so important. That is a huge, huge piece to my coaching program, and it is so important. And this was really what I realized I needed to get in there because of the issues I went through myself, where and with exercise and nutrition, if you're not really conscious of these things, they can really sneak in really quick and kind of throw off your course. So for example, I had a client who just let me know the other day that she felt like she was kind of getting obsessed with her steps on her watch, and it was becoming like an obsession. She was watching in the gym and how many calories she's burning, so she was getting like obsessed with the numbers. Where we need to make a mindset shift there. First of all, I realized that these numbers are very inaccurate. Like, they're allowed to be off by like 400 calories each way and still be considered accurate. So like, we need to make this mindset shift, and that's what's going to take you from getting these obsessions, getting a better relationship with food, how you view snacking, how you view stress eating. How, are you exercising to punish yourself for a bad meal you ate, or are you exercising because your body deserves it, and your body is strong and deserves to be get exercise and work out and feel good about itself? Are you looking in the mirror and tearing yourself apart? Or are you looking in the mirror and being proud of the body that you have and what you've been through? So making these mindset shifts is so important. And again, I mean, I know I keep saying the word, but it's also what helps get the long-term results, because those things are going to be long lasting. Whereas like, if you're just like, okay, I'm just going to hate my life for 4 weeks and do cardio every morning, versus like, okay, I enjoy this type of exercise. I feel really good after it, helps lower my stress. That's going to be much more sustainable than the first option where you're like forcing yourself to do it every day. So those little mindset shifts really add up. And you, before you know it, you're kind of like a whole new person with a whole new mindset shift.
Yeah. And being aware of what you're saying to yourself, you know, like, it's not always what you're thinking, it's just what you're saying out loud. Like, when you're around your friends, do you say, "Oh, I'm so fat," or "Oh, I ate so terribly," or "Oh, this cake is so bad for me"? Like,
Yeah.
just be mindful of what you're saying. Like, there is no food that is bad for you. It's just a matter of, you know, how much are you consuming? Like, you know, I've been known to tear up a nice big piece of cake and have a couple of craft beers, you know, and things like that. But like, you know, I'm working out 6 days a week, you know, and you just got to kind of balance everything out. And also, you know, recovery. Think about what you're doing to recover. You know, Hannah, you and I both know the type of person that goes to the gym 7 days a week. They'll never take a day off, and if they miss a day, they're freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, you don't go to work every single day. You might for a while, if you're trying to build a business or you're trying to be successful, but you know, your body's no different. You know, you need vacation, you need days off, you need massage, you need the appropriate amount of water, you need the right nutrition plan that's keeping your inflammation levels down if you have previous injuries and stuff like that. All of those things need to be addressed. Mindset's where it starts, execution's where it continues.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of those things too, where if you never like talk about it, or no one ever mentions it, you don't even realize it's happening necessarily. Like you said, like where you're out to eat and like you feel really guilty for getting dessert or having like one too many beers. Like, you don't even realize that that's a mindset thing until someone kind of brings it to your attention. Or you don't even realize how many negative things you tell yourself about yourself throughout the day until you actually take a step back and look at it. And then you realize, like, oh wow, I'm ripping myself apart. And then because I'm ripping myself apart, when I see other people, I'm ripping them apart in my head, thinking like, she doesn't look that great, like things like that, because you don't feel good on the inside. And it's just like a snowball effect where if we make those mindset shifts on to the root cause, it changes everything. It's drastic, and you believe the things you tell yourself. And if you're telling yourself these negative, crappy things about yourself, about food, about exercise, you're going to believe it, and it's going to take over your life subconsciously, and you're not even going to notice it until it's too much.
Yeah, and I remember listening to a podcast back in the day, and I'm not going to say specific names, but they were talking about a high profile personal trainer, and they were saying how her brand, you'll never see her drink alcohol, or you'll never see her eat anything bad. When she's out to dinner, she's being the poster child for her brand and things like that. That might have worked 20 years ago, but I'll tell you what, today I have found that my clients have way more respect for me because they know I go out and have a beer. They know I go out and have a couple slices of pizza, because they now know that, hey, I can look pretty good. Yeah, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder if you're drinking beer every day of the week and eating pizza every day of the week. That's just fact. But you can look pretty good and live a decent life and be healthy, eating the things you enjoy and not super stressing about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like you said, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder, but you don't need to. Like, you don't need to look shredded and have no body fat to be confident in your own skin and to allow yourself to have pizza and have fun. Like, that's just not necessary by any means. Like, you deserve to have good food and enjoy good memories that those foods come with. And if you're restricting yourself with it because you want to have more defined abs, like, is it really worth it in the end? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to go into one more point before we close out here, because this has been a really good conversation. We've really went into a lot of different directions, but I just want to say something, and this isn't throwing you or me under the bus or anyone we know, but I just want to say, us fitness professionals, we need to do a better job, right? The obesity rate is still continuing to climb, and here is the reason why. And I hope to God, anybody who's listening to this that falls into that category, reach out to me, reach out to Hannah, reach out to Stefano, reach out to Ben, reach out to anybody who's been on the show before. But listen, there's too many people sitting at home right now thinking, I'm 55, I'm 60, I'm 65. I've never exercised. I've never cared about my health. Why start now? Listen, that's the 70% of people that need our help the most. We have the opportunities for you guys to come and get help. We are some of the nicest people you're ever going to meet. I encourage anybody that's sitting there on the fence to just try something. Find a trainer that you like. Find a friend that has a trainer that they like. Go do a session. Go do a consult. Most of the stuff's free. You get a free consult. You get a free attendance in a class. You get a free membership at the gym. Like, you get a week or so free usually to try something out. I know I offer a first time free membership to my class. I know Hannah got some stuff she's going to talk about here in a minute, but it's literally go out there and get help. 90% of us are in this industry to help people. We're not in this industry to get rich. Sure, we need to make a living. We need to take care of our families, but we are here to help. And we are here to get you off that fence and get you moving in a direction. If I could tell you how many people who hesitant to start with me that have now been with me 10 years, 8 years, and they love working out, listen, sometimes inertia is a son of a bitch. And I'm going to say that. If you are sitting on the couch, what are you going to want to do? Sit on the couch. If you are going to get up and move, your body's going to want to move more often. If you start eating healthy, your body's going to want to eat healthy more often. It's just inertia. Get that ball rolling. That's my tangent.
Yeah.
And anything to say in regards to that?
Yeah. The first step's always going to be the scariest, right? And you can sit there and you can come up with 25 to 50 excuses like that to convince yourself why not to do it. There's always the what ifs, like what if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if I go to the gym and I embarrass myself? But there's also always the like, yeah, but what if you feel healthier than you've ever felt in your life? What if your blood pressure and cholesterol comes down? What if your relationship with your husband improves because you feel significantly more confident in your own skin? Like, What if when you go on vacations, you have a significantly better vacation because you don't give a crap about how you look in the bikini because your self-confidence has skyrocketed. And when those things are a possibility, then why not? Like, sure, you can fail, but the alternative is really freaking great, and you deserve to go for it, and you deserve to get those results.
Yes, fail your way to success.
Yeah.
If you're not failing, you're usually not trying super hard. That's my opinion on that whole thing. But yeah, Hannah, I don't know if you have any closing thoughts, but I also want to give you an opportunity, just the floor, to say where everybody can find you. Do you have any current programs you want to promote? Just anything like that. Where are you located? Yada, yada.
So on social media, you can find me at Hannah Corbacio Fitness on Instagram. I think just Hannah Corbacio on Facebook, but my Facebook page is Hannah Corbacio Fitness. And then I am launching a free 5-day health and fitness challenge that is starting on Monday. So kind of gives you, we're going to have a whole live training on what food freedom is. We'll really dive into that. Day one's all about figuring out how many calories you should be consuming and why, and how to get that number and the importance. So it kind of gives you a sneak peek of what my program entails, but also it's just a good way to kind of just kickstart your health, your program, or if you've already been trying to do something, just kind of help accelerate it even more, educate yourself. And there's going to be a group of supportive women, live trainings every day, and that starts on Monday. And you can reach out to me directly, or you can sign up with the links in both of my bios on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and that would be one more point I would say. I would encourage all my audience and followers, friends, family to follow Hannah as well, because here's the thing: if you are on a fence, it's good to surround yourself with people that are putting good content out there, who are going to encourage you, even if they're not working with you one-on-one. You know, take a look at her content. She puts out great long-form content, which explains a lot of things, does a good job with that. You can check out my YouTube page with all the Coffee with the Trainers. I believe Hannah is the 11th trainer or fitness professional that's been on the show. I've had a couple repeats, but there's a lot of good content on there, and it covers anything you could possibly imagine. And I'm Mike from Formal Fitness Training. You can find me at Formal Fitness Training on Facebook, formalfitnesstraining.com, or you can find me on Facebook under Michael Hartman as well. That's for Hannah's audience, anyone who wants to follow me. Hannah, I had a great time talking to you. This is definitely long overdue. I'm sure we'll do it again, but I love seeing your success. I love the direction you're going, and I'm glad to be a part of it in some small way, and your friend, and seeing where you can go from here.
Thanks. Yeah, I really appreciate you having me.
All right, so we'll can recording, and I'll see you all next time.